Welcome back. You're watching the special corporate corridor programming, and we're focusing on the International Monetary Fund, the fund coming in, and the tough policy measures and where the economy overall stands. And before going on to break, Mr. Nadeem, as Mr. Javed was mentioning, obviously FDI declining has been a huge concern for the overall Pakistani economy. The last figures that we received clearly showed us that FDI has declined by over 40%. Yes, the law and order needs to be addressed, and all those political concerns were also dragging or pushing the investors away. What should the policies be like in Pakistan? How should we lure these investors back? Because yes, the credit ratings have been upgraded by Moody's and Standard & Poor's, so that would bode well for these foreign investors as well. How do you see FDI, the trend in FDI in the coming months?
I think it's very important to take a historical context into this. As an economy, Pakistan never really has been driven by FDI. In fact, the last 5 years, 2002-3 to 2006-7, were an anomaly. Pakistan's external funding has been overwhelmingly bilateral and multilateral. And it is not because we have been able to do something with our potential. It is because of our strategic location and a strategic position Pakistan has in a geopolitical sense, that investments have come in from the countries for whom the strategic importance was there. If you go back into history from the 1950s onwards, you had the RCD, you had the CENTO, you had the CETO, then now we have the NATO, then you had the Afghan war. These are the things that have brought money into Pakistan because of their need. It's not because they love us, because they need us. Now, in order to change that to FDIs, you need people to love us, and that means that we need to be attractive.
That seems like an uphill task as well.
Well, we need to be attractive as a country, and we need to give a return that is attractive to investors. That has never happened in Pakistan. I don't foresee, honestly speaking, that happening in the next decade or so. For that to happen, there will be sea change in what Pakistan looks to an outsider today and what it needs to look to an outsider 10 years from now. Until such time, I'm sorry to say, but I feel that we will need to be dependent on bilateral and multilateral aid. And I think one of the most critical elements is that loan will not solve the problem. I've been saying this for a long time now. We need to have a debt equity restructuring of the Paris Club debt. Otherwise, by 2011 and 2012, when the IMF repayments start, and as Javed Saab has said, we do not have the exporting capacity to generate dollars, we'll be in the soup again.
And then we would be looking to some other channel to generate probably another loan coming in, perhaps?
We are in a state where what is known as donor fatigue is happening. And I keep giving this example. When you come out in the morning, it's Ramzan, and you stop at the traffic lights, and all these guys, children, everybody comes and give me some money. You give the money out because you're feeling a bit generous. It's a holy month. You come back in the evening, you're tired, you've had enough problems in the house, you're now feeling the rosa, and when people you start getting a bit agitated. I'm just giving a real life example. We have been doing the same with the donors. Every couple of years, please give us something, please give us something. This has reached the point where it will break now. I think this is the last chance that money is coming in because of a particular strategic reason, war on terror. X that, nobody is going to give us money, and we need to use this 2-year, 3-year breathing space to very rapidly build up own resource generation capacity.
And when the time comes, Mr. Javed, to repay the loan back or the money back to the International Monetary Fund, is Pakistan going to stretch out its arms to get another loan from somewhere else? Because I don't see Pakistan generating that much money when they have to eventually repay that loan amount.
Well, I certainly hope not. I think that would be difficult, and it'll be increasingly expensive. If you try and replace one loan with another loan, as we all know, it tends to be expensive and prohibitively expensive. I would slightly like to sort of comment on what Nadeem bhai was saying and regarding FDIs. I think we live in a slightly different environment globally now. The general level of investments that go into countries now are through the FDI channel. And yes, I think Pakistan has never been successful until if we looked around 2001, that's when we saw a large amount of FDIs beginning to come in from 2002, 2003. It has to be remembered that was just when we were coming out of our IMF, successfully out of our IMF program. And it created the ground conditions, the basically infrastructure where we could actually attract foreign investments. Now, effectively what we are saying, if we can meet the IMF conditionalities, even if there are some delays, even if there are some restrictions we don't completely meet, but we by and large meet them, we will be probably in a condition where the domestic environment is attractive enough in terms of inflation, in terms of interest rates, that we start seeing domestic reinvestment. The problem right now is that even domestic investors are not particularly from the private sector increasing their investments.
Because the cost of doing business is also
cost
quite
of doing
high.
business is the uncertainty, the political environment has been difficult. Now, if that changes, FDI by and large, whether you look at India, China, is attracted not simply by foreigners deciding to come into the country, and they do so in collaboration with local investors. If local investment by and large starts increasing, so will FDI. I agree with Nadeem, we can't be completely dependent on FDI. Certain degree of collaboration, certain degree of strategic investment from our friends abroad has to happen. But we can't completely ignore that part. A large part of impetus globally now is through FDI. Unless we get our structure, our economic environment such that we see local investment, and with that foreign investment, we are going to be in a difficult situation. And we certainly don't want to be in a situation where we are replacing old loans with new
ones. And let's hope that the economy does not have to go through that difficult channel. It's time for a short break. Stay with us. We're having an interesting discussion with Mr. Nadeem Naqvi and Mr. Syed Javed Hasan, talking about the International Monetary Fund, the tough conditions. And after the break, we'll be talking about the inflationary pressure and the state bank stance, the next monetary policy. What is the trend going to be like? We'll be discussing that in detail right after this short break.